I came to be with people who know they need help. I came for the insecure. Now, the truth is, and I've learned this after 30 years of pastoring, everybody is insecure. Everybody in this room, everybody's listening, is insecure. You say, oh no, I'm not insecure. Oh really? Let me have 30 minutes with you and I'll uncover your hidden insecurities. I can do it quite quickly. I'm very good at discovering what people's insecurities are. It's the reason why people don't get help before things get really bad in their life. If your marriage is tanking and going down and you don't get counseling, or your business is tanking and you don't get help, or you got a relationship problem with your parents or your kids and you don't get help, and you don't get counseling, and why do people are afraid to go to a counselor? Because of insecurity. What if that counselor reveals something to me that I can't handle, and he points out a truth about myself that I don't really want to know? That's called insecurity. And it's the reason why people wait until it's too late to get help in an area of their life. It's because of their own insecurity. What can they uncover that I can't handle? Now, the truth is, one of your deepest needs in life is to feel secure. One of your deepest needs in life is to feel valued, to feel valuable, to feel like your life matters, that it counts, that it's significant, that you're not just a cipher, that you're not just some kind of zero in life. You want your life to matter. You want your life to have value and significance. And as a result, you're constantly doing two things: evaluating and comparing. And you do it all the time. You do it consciously and you do it unconsciously. You're evaluating yourself and you're comparing yourself to other people. And we compare everything. It's an indoor national favorite pastime of Americans. And the problem is, the four ways that we judge our value are all spurious. They're all false, they're all phony, they're all fake. How the world tells you you determine your value is 100% wrong. So let me just mention them, because I want you to understand that your value is not based on what the world says about you, it's what God says about you. Now, there are four things that the world tells you need to look at if you want to know how valuable you are. You might write these down. The first way we judge our wealth or our worth is by our appearance. And that is, how do I look? And we think, if I look good, then I must be good. And if I don't look so good, then I must not be so valuable. I must not be important. And our society has an entire industry that is built on the idea that your value is based on your appearance. It's called Hollywood. And Hollywood says, if you really are ravishing, you're stunning, you're really gorgeous, you're really handsome, then you're really worth a lot. But if you're not so hot, then you're not. Oh, I'm a poet and I don't know it. Now, the problem with this is there aren't that many really stunning people in the world. I mean, most of us are just normal, average-looking people. In fact, everybody around you is normal, average, except you. You're stunning. And you know it. But you're the only person in this room that actually really is stunning. All the rest of us are just kind of normal looking. Okay, we're just normal people with normal looks. Now, if you only have high value in your life by being super attractive, that leaves most of us out. And the Bible says that's not what you evaluate yourself on. The second false way to evaluate your worth is not appearance, but by affluence. And affluence is, what do I own? And that's the myth of materialism that says, if I have a lot of things, then I must be worth a lot. That if I have a lot of values, then my personal value is a lot. But if I'm poor or I'm broke, then I'm not worth much as a person. Now, I've told you many times, never connect your self-worth with your net worth. Because if you connect your self-worth with your net worth, the recession will cause depression. And I have seen that many, many times. I've seen a lot of people who, when their business hits the toilet, then their personal feeling about themselves hits the toilet. And when they tank in their portfolio, then they tank in how good they feel about themselves. And I'm just not a very good provider, and on and on and on. Your value and your valuables have nothing to do with each other. Your self-worth and your net worth have nothing to do with each other. The greatest things in life, as I've said many times, are not things. But the world tells you, if you got a lot of money, you got a lot of stuff, then you are really a valuable person. Not true. The third thing that we judge our worth on is achievement. And that is, what have I accomplished? And if I get a lot of things done, then I feel good about myself. And if I reach a lot of goals, then I feel good about myself. And if I get promoted, or I win a trophy, or I get an honor, and I have accomplished a certain thing, then I must feel good. And this is what creates workaholism. And it drives us because we want to feel good about ourselves, so we're trying to achieve, to prove that we are worthwhile. The fourth is approval. And approval, basing your worth on approval says, how well am I liked? And if I'm liked a lot, then I must be worth a lot. And if I'm only liked a little, then I'm worth a little. And if I'm not liked by anybody, then I'm worthless. That's just not true. Some of you have spent your entire life trying to gain the approval of somebody who's never going to give it. And if you haven't got your parents' approval by now, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it. But here's the point. You don't need it to be happy. Your happiness is not dependent upon the approval of other people. If you build your worth on what other people think of you, then you are going to be devastated every time you get criticized. And it's going to hurt like the dickens, and you're going to tend to always be going around saying, what will other people think? And if you're always asking that question, what do other people think? You're already a slave to the approval of other people. You've got to learn to trust what God says about you. Now, it is true, psychological studies have shown that you tend to base how you feel about you on what you think the most important person in your life thinks about you. That's where you get most of your self-esteem. What you think the most important person in your life thinks about you. So I highly recommend you make the most important person in your life Jesus Christ. Because he's going to tell you the truth, and he's going to love you unconditionally, and he's not going to say, I love you if, I love you if, I love you if, I love you if, I love you if you love me, I love you if, or I love you because. That's conditional love. Jesus says, I love you, period. In fact, you can't make me stop loving you. Now, the problem with these four things, appearance and affluence and achievement and approval, is that they are all unstable, unreliable sources of security. I mean, let's just go down the list. Our beauty fades. Anybody want to give a testimony on that? Okay, our beauty fades. And if you think you're not looking so great now, wait 10 years. Okay, all right? Okay, unless you're like me on the Daniel plan, and in 10 years, I'm not half the man I used to be. All right, beauty fades, possessions wear out, okay? Successes are surpassed. No matter what goal you reach, somebody's gonna break your record. And you're gonna feel bad then, if your self-esteem is built on that. And other people are gonna reject you. No matter what you do, some people just aren't gonna like you. That's their problem, not yours. The only solid foundation for self-esteem, for feeling good about you, is understanding how much you matter to God. When you see yourself as God sees you, it transforms you. Now, a great example of this is a guy in the Bible named Zacchaeus. And his story is in Luke chapter 19. If you have a Bible, you can turn to Luke 19. It's there on your outline. You can read the verses with me. It's also on the screen. Now, Jesus is going through a town called Jericho. And of course, large crowds are following Jesus wherever he goes. He's walking through these cities, and crowds are following him everywhere. And there's a guy in this town named Zacchaeus who is the most hated man in the city. And the Bible tells us this story. Luke 19. Jesus was going through the city of Jericho, and a man was there named Zacchaeus. And he was the chief tax collector, and he was wealthy. Now, he wanted to see who Jesus was, but he was too short too short to see above the crowd. So he ran ahead of the place where Jesus would come, and he climbed a sycamore tree so he could see him. Now, when Jesus is walking through, when Jesus comes to that place, and then there was this sycamore tree, he stops. It says he looked up and he said to Zacchaeus, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down. I must stay at your house today." Zacchaeus came down quickly and he welcomed him gladly. Now all the people who saw this, they began to complain. Jesus is having dinner with a sinner. Jesus is staying with a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, this is at his house, "I will give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anyone, I will pay them back 4 times as much." And Jesus says to him, "Salvation has come to this house today. This man is a true son of Abraham." In other words, he's the real deal. He's in with us. "And I, the Son of Man, have come to seek and save people like him who were lost." I don't know what you're going through right now. You may feel like you're up a tree financially. You may feel like you're out on a limb relationally. You may feel like you're in a hole spiritually, and nobody even knows you're there. But God knows where you are, and he's paying attention to you. And he notices you. He's always had his eye on you. That's because you matter to God. There has never been a moment of your life when God took his eye off of you. When you get to heaven one day, if you've trusted in Christ, there's not going to be a time when, oh, God says, "Oh, I didn't see that one happen in your life." He saw you take your first breath. He heard you scream your first scream. He saw you being formed in your mother's womb. Why? Because he made you. God thought you up. You wouldn't exist if God hadn't thought of you first. And he wanted you alive, and he's watched every second of your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You may feel you're all alone right now. You may feel that what you're going through, God's a million miles away. Well, you're dead wrong. God is paying intimate, close attention, and just as much as a year before Zacchaeus even decided to go to that tree, God knew he'd be there. God knows where you are right now. He knows where you're going to be in the next hour. He knows where you're going to be next month. He knows where you're going to be next year. He knows where you're going to be on the last day of your life and the last breath you're going to take. Why? Because God is not limited by time. God does not live on the earth, which rotates in a 24-hour cycle around the sun. So he's not limited by time. God can see the past, the present, and the future all at once, and he knows it all, and he never takes his eye off you. The greatest expression of love is attention. It's attention, paying attention, because when you pay attention to somebody, you're giving them your time, and your time is your life, and you're never going to get that time back. You are giving them a part of your life. And when you pay attention to somebody and you look them in the eyes, that child, that husband, that wife, that friend, and you pay attention to them, you are saying, "You matter to me." It is the greatest gift. Some of you grew up with parents who thought that what you needed were things. Kids don't need things. They need attention. You crave attention. It is a fundamental human need. You crave attention. And there are people all around you, the people you work with, they're starving for attention. Your next door neighbors and the people around you, they're starving for attention. And if you want to be like Jesus, you pay attention. You show up and you pay attention. And you be there when they need you. There are people all around you dying to be noticed. Most of you do not realize the awesome attention that God is paying to you every single second of your life. Why? Because you matter to God.